Once we get going, what's up, everybody? Mr. Logan Jarboe, Logan
Jarboe. Yeah,
Jarboe,
you got it.
joining us in the sanctuary. You're from Evansville, former, you said Air Force,
Yeah, that's correct.
and now ultra marathoner.
Trying to be.
Trying to be all the fun stuff. Yeah, what's going on, man? Thanks for being here today. Thanks for coming over and
Yeah, I appreciate you
hanging
having me,
out.
man.
Yeah, no doubt. We officially met actually for kind of we were talking about earlier back in the end of August.
August.
At Shawnee, we were both running that day, and we met that day before you were getting the IV. And I think I'd like come across you on Facebook actually back whenever I first started running, and I was seeing some of your content pop up on Facebook.
All right. Yeah.
How well, let's going back to just like you said you were the Air Force. Did you always want to go military? Or were you
Okay, I
always like
can
a military?
I can dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, because
So
yeah,
so yeah, I guess during high school, I goofed off quite a bit. So
right,
college, I mean, unless I wanted to take out loans, which I didn't, it
yeah,
really wasn't an option. So it wasn't like a free ride for me or anything like that. So I went with what I could do, and one of my buddies, he went into the Army reserves, and he just told me to, come to his recruiter, check it out and whatnot. So I went in there one day with him, and the Army definitely wasn't for me. But I went to speak with a couple other recruiters here locally in Evansville, and the Air Force kind of struck me as a good idea, a way to kind of start my life out. Really, I wanted to do 20 years, but I ended up doing 6 active duty,
yeah,
kind of all over the world a little bit.
right.
Boot camp, Texas, and then from there, I went to Osan, South Korea. I love South Korea.
Did you? How long were you there?
I was there for a year.
A
It's
year.
called a short tour.
Did you learn to speak any? Could you speak the language, or did you ever
I
a little
did
bit?
a little bit, yes, but it's like one of those things, like if you don't use it, you lose
Right.
it really quick.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I don't remember much, only the bad words. But
Yeah. What changed your mind from one to go? You said you wanted to go 20 years, and then ended up being 6. Was it just you're like, I kind of had my fill of this. It's just not.
so that's a great question. For a long time, I struggled with mental health issues.
Yeah.
Uh, I kind of suffered in silence. I didn't want to go to anyone because I was security forces, which is uh, like the base defense, uh, police slash MP,
Hmm.
if you will. And if you went to mental health for anything, they'll pull your guns and then you can't do
Hmm.
your job. So I suffered in silence for a really long time with depression and anxiety and other issues. And then it came time to re-enlist or, get out after
Yeah.
my 6-year contract was up. And just for the sake of my mental health, I knew that I should just separate and get out.
Yeah. Was that something that kind of was brought on during the military, or was that something that like you kind of had dealt with before the military, or was
Mm,
it?
It was so I've always been an anxious person per
Mm,
se,
yeah.
but the depression and PTSD stemmed from the military.
Mm.
Hmm.
Was there any certain incidents that happened whenever you were overseas, or um, like combat stuff, or did you see anything like that whenever you were over there?
Um, Diagnosed with combat PTSD,
Oh, okay.
CPSD.
I gotcha. We don't have to talk about that if you don't want to.
Yeah, I'd rather not.
Yeah. No, that's totally fine. Um, were you working out and stuff whenever you were like in the military? Were you doing like any sort of running at that time, or like were you just hitting weights like normal like military type stuff? You were just like benching and squatting type thing, or what? Like, what was the regimen for Air Force? Was you like doing? Was you flying planes?
No,
No.
no.
Okay.
That's
So
a
you.
that's a question I get asked all the time.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were doing the pilot stuff. I used to work for an electrical contractor, and we had a job out in South Carolina on an Air Force base, and it was like right by the landing strip. So we got to sit there like all day while we were working, just watching like fighter jets taking off, and it was wild shit to see.
What's your favorite fighter?
Oh,
Or
I
do you
don't
have
know.
one?
No, I don't even know him like that. No.
Okay.
Um, but anyway, yeah. So you weren't flying, you weren't a pilot.
Mm-mm. I just guarded the planes and
Yeah,
protected the pilots
I
essentially.
gotcha.
Hmm.
Yeah, was it that's cool, dude. Even just like being around them, those things are
It's pretty sick.
wild. I don't know if people have like a full grasp on like the planes and how fast those things are and like the skills it takes to fly 'em. Like I said, because we were within probably 200 yards from where they were taking. I mean, we were right there,
Oh,
and
they
you
rip,
could feel it
man.
in your chest,
They
buddy.
rip.
Yeah, it's a wild thing.
Yeah. So in Korea, it's funny you say that. There's a plane. It's called a U-2.
Mm,
It's a spy plane. Essentially, they fly at, I want to say like 70, 80,000 feet. I could be wrong there. Um, but they take off with their afterburners on, and they do day and night missions 24/7 over there. And when they take off with their afterburners, I mean, even if you're indoors away from the airfield or
right.
anything, it just like it'll rumble the buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do feel it in your chest.
Yeah. Yeah, that was yeah, it was really crazy to be that close to him. I was almost like, God, should we even be this close? Like, are we allowed to be here? This is wild.
Right.
And to watch them, like, especially whenever they're running, because they, like all of them there, they're always in like packs of three. So they were always doing like, I don't know, I guess it was like they were practicing dog fights. Like they'd all just like take off in opposite directions and they'd all like circle back around and then like end up right back in perfect formation. I was like, Jesus,
There's
dude.
all sorts of things that those guys do. I'm not even fully sure exactly what all their training is. I know they have to get a certain amount of flying hours a month
Yeah.
and whatnot, and I'm sure a lot of it is like practice for dogfights and whatnot.
Where'd you do your basic at?
That was in San Antonio, Lackland Air
Mm.
Force Base, and then that's also where my tech school was.
Oh, okay, I got you. Did you do that? Uh, were you doing that while you were in the military or after, like the
Like,
tech school?
oh, tech school is part of the military,
Okay.
so that's like your technical on the job training.
Oh, okay. I got
So
you.
after I graduated basic training, I went directly into like my technical field, which was security forces.
I got you.
Didn't have to travel very far. It was a short bus ride.
Right. Yeah, well, that's good. That's good. Did you yeah, Texas, man. That's where everyone's wanting to get to. You didn't ever have any desire to get back to Texas?
uh, Texas is a cool state.
Yeah.
I didn't so much enjoy San Antonio just because I didn't really have the opportunity. I was, busy with basic and then school after that, so I didn't really get to enjoy it a whole lot.
Right.
There was a place downtown called the Riverwalk. It's pretty popular. It's
Hmm.
a really fun destination. 10 out of 10 would recommend that.
Yeah.
Um, but really, I didn't do a whole lot off base. There
Yeah.
wasn't very much opportunity because, you're busy almost every day doing training and
Right.
whatnot. You got the weekends off, sort of,
Sort of. Yeah.
but they keep you under pretty tight wraps.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, so you at that time you weren't doing much running though. You weren't really much into that
I
wasn't
was
like
doing plenty of running against my will.
yeah, you weren't doing it because you kind of enjoyed it. It was just because you had to.
It's funny. Before I went into the military, I loved to run.
Yeah.
I never like did any track and field or cross country or anything.
Hmm.
I would just run for fun.
Yeah.
And then I joined, and we were made to run a lot. And I was always a decent runner. I wouldn't say extremely talented or anything, but
Yeah.
decent at it. I've got the build for it and
Yeah.
whatnot. But the military kind of turned me off from running quite a bit.
Really?
Just because it was so much and
Yeah,
it wasn't on my own terms, I suppose.
sure. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get that because I mean, I just started really getting into running. Um, I think April it was whenever I got into it. Whenever I like first bought a pair of running shoes, I think it was April.
What sparked that interest in you?
So I kind of, it's kind of a long story going like back to whenever I stopped drinking and then got sober. And then, um, after I had stopped that, it was like kind of stages of like basically once I'd been sober after so long, I was like, okay, I had to find something else to start to kind of take up my time again. And I had a buddy that I was watching that he was big into running, and he was going and running like these relays, like the river to river relay in Illinois. I think it's like an 80-mile relay race, and um, I grew up competing. Like my whole life, I was always playing sports, so I was like, I think that's what's missing. I was like, I need to get back into some sort of competition. I just didn't know what it was gonna be. Well, then now I was like watching my buddy that was doing all this running, and I was like, I had never thought about running the trails, or because anytime I think about running, I just think about,
Road running and
yeah, like
track.
like when it going back to high school and like running laps around the gym. That's like what I go to whenever I think about running. I'm like, that sounds awful.
Right.
And yeah, or track or whatever. And I was like, I had never thought about like running through the woods. Like that seems like a good time. So that was basically just like kind of seeing his stuff, and then I was just kind of in a place where I was like needing a hobby and I was needing something to do. And like I said, I competed for a long time. Like my whole life, I've been in some sort of sports competing. So I was like, I kind of miss that competing and, being in that atmosphere where you're just like other people are pushing themselves. And,
Oh, for sure. And that's, I
um,
mean, that's what running's all about, is pushing yourself to,
yeah,
the absolute limit, in my opinion.
right.
It's funny you say that. Is you found an outlet in that after you got sober
Yeah.
and whatnot. And first of all, congratulations. That's
Thank you.
awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. I got, December 18th will be 2 years since I've had a drink. So
Nice.
yeah,
Good
it's
for
been
you,
something.
man.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
I
Yeah.
bet
two
you feel a
years.
lot better, don't you?
Um, yeah, I do. I do. It's not like, you know, it's not, I'm not like trying anymore to not drink, if that makes sense. It's just like, my priorities have just shifted. Like, I've kind of just grown up maybe a little bit and like matured and how I have these other things. And it's not really, I don't have to avoid drinking. It's just like, no, that's just not like,
That's not you
that's just not what I
anymore.
do. Yeah, I just don't do that. It's like I have too much. I don't have time. Like I'm busy.
I do.
Um, yeah. What about yourself? Do you drink? Are you sober?
I drink a little
Yeah.
bit here and
Yeah.
there. I don't drink a whole lot, because it definitely adversely affects your performance
Yeah.
for running or really anything.
For sure.
I used to drink quite a bit as a coping mechanism for sure.
I get that.
Uh, Definitely when I was in the military, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Um, but kind of like you, I mean, well, going back to like the mental health issues that I was going through,
Hmm.
I went through a ton of therapy. It was basically like my full-time job for 2 years, and I still go weekly.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, that helped quite a bit. But really, what helped me the most, any medication that I've ever been prescribed for any of it,
Hmm.
running has been the number one best medicine.
Yeah.
I mean, Chase, if you would have seen me like a year ago, I was a wreck,
Yeah.
like not well.
We've been there, brother.
I wasn't happy with myself. I wasn't happy with anything that was going on in my life.
Hmm.
And it's funny how you kind of got into it and how I got back into it. Like I said, the military kind of turned me off from running quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I think 2022 is when I ran my first marathon or half marathon. That was Salt Lake City. I just ran it because I always had wanted to run one.
Yeah.
Did that, knocked it out, and then that was a check off my bucket list. And then uh last last June or July, I was working at uh a junk removal company here locally, and my supervisor, now friend, a very close friend of mine, Robbie Olin, he was into running quite a bit and fitness. And I was doing the lifting thing. I was power lifting. I
Hmm.
was like 225, 230, stocky and strong. And he's like, "Hey, do you want to run the Evansville half marathon with me?" And I was like, "Sure, why the heck not?
Yeah.
Why not? Let's
Right.
do it. Sure."
Yeah.
So I kind of took it and, not to be punny, but I ran with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just started training a little bit slow at first, but then it became habitual. Uh,
Yeah.
like 5, 6 days a week, I was going on some sort of a run, and I set a pretty lofty goal for myself. I wanted to break the hour and 30-minute mark. Um, didn't quite get there. I finished in an hour and 36 minutes at the Evansville half in 2024. But I was still extremely happy with that.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I started running some 5Ks here locally, and I started placing like top 5, top 3,
Right.
top 2. And, I continued with it. And kind of like you said, like you're competitive. I thrive off of competition. So
Yeah.
I I loved going out there, and I would start off a little slow, and then I would kind of pick people that I wanted to pass and pick them off and
Right.
pass them and pass them until I was like I saw the lead guy or like the second, third, fourth guy, and then just trying to keep up with them and
Yeah.
finish where I finish. Um, and then I did the Owensboro half, and I actually came in second on that one. And I still didn't break an hour and 30. A funny story is I crossed the start line where I thought the finish was, but the finish line, I had my Bose noise canceling headphones on and everything, and the finish line was like actually like up this little hill and around like another for I'd say 300 yards or so. And I
Damn.
thought I finished it what I thought in an hour and 29 minutes, but then it ended up being an hour and 31 minutes. The crowd
Damn.
was like, "Go that way, go
And you
that
thought it was
way."
over.
I had my Bose on and I was
Yeah.
like, "What?"
Yeah. I thought the race was over,
I
huh?
thought they were cheering for me. But I got second in it, and I ran with this awesome cross country kid that just absolutely crushed it. I ran with him most of the time,
Yeah.
and it was
You
really
dude, it's
fun.
fun. That last race I just ran in, they had some of them cordon boys was out there from their cross country team that was running. They had so like 10 minutes after the 50K started, they sent there was like a half marathon loop, and then there was like a 10K loop, and then I believe a 5K, and they might have even had like a mile loop, like even I don't remember. But a bunch of them high school boys was running the I'm assuming it was either the half marathon or the 10K loop. But something about there's been two of the races that I've ran. There's been like young guys on there that are just like come through their trailblazing. I love it, dude. Whenever I see those young guys, I'm like, hell yeah,
Me
dude. I'm
too.
like, get after
It
it, dude.
gets me going. I love it when
There's
like
nothing.
a 15, 16, 17-year-old beats me, man.
There's nothing. There's not any other sports. Just like whenever you're even if you're passing or getting past like on the trail, it's just like good spirits like the whole time it seems
Yeah,
like.
you
You
want to
know, it's
root that
like
person on, like,
even like whenever like you're talking about kind of like because I know what you mean. It's like you see someone in front and it's like you're kind of hunting them down a little bit. It's just like a like kind of a mental game you sort of play. You know, it's not really where I'm like I want to beat you, you know, but it's just kind of like I'm right here. It's like, you know, you play this mental game of like, you know, yeah, you want to perform as well as you can, but then like whenever like in passing, you know, it's always like super friendly. It's like
oh
just the
yeah,
nicest people that I've met just in the short time that I've been doing it, you know. It's like you just don't meet nicer people than because there's just this like understanding. It's like, you know, we're all out here just going through it, you know, where
right.
everyone's suffering no
Yeah.
matter what. Like
It's a good suffer though. It's
yeah,
awesome.
it's one that you know you get to choose. You know.
Right. And another thing to add to, the running thing, there's I don't think there's another sport where there's 10-year-olds competing with 80-year-olds
Mm,
plus.
yeah,
I find that very interesting and inspiring. A 10-year-old to complete a race. I'm trying to think when I was 10, could I have ran 5 miles
right.
or a 5 miler or something like that? And then look at the 80, 90 year olds that are competing, and I'm like,
Yeah,
first of all, you're 90, so that's an accomplishment in its own.
yeah. The fact that yeah you're just still breathing in this day and age at 90
And you're
is
running?
a long distance, dude. There was a family. Um, sorry to cut you off. There's a family. There was this girl with their mom and dad that she couldn't have been like 10 at Shawnee, and they ran that 50K together. All
Really?
three of them. Yeah. And they were getting it too for a little bit because I followed them for probably 2 miles. I was just right behind them. And yeah, I was just watching. She was just crushing, dude. It was her dad, then her, and then her mom. And yeah, she was just flowing through them trails. They ran that whole 50K.
That's awesome.
She couldn't have been, could not have been 12. Couldn't have been.
Man, I love that too. I kind of got some of my family into the running as well.
Did you?
Yeah. My sister, my brother-in-law, and my mom actually ran the Evansville half
Let's go.
this year.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congrats to them.
Yeah, I'm very proud of all of
That's
them.
awesome.
It was a great experience.
Yeah, there's been yeah, there's a lot of people that's getting into it. A lot of people are shifting into the running and are finding the joy and and I don't know. To me, it's that real joy is, you know, whenever you're, you know, 20 something miles in and like that's where it's like starts to get fun. I would like I haven't ran like any sort of actual just like marathon or half or whatever. I don't know. I don't know if I like it as much as like just being in the woods.
Hmm.
But then I watch the videos of marathons and I'm like, oh no, dude, that looks like it'd be a good. I get the New York Marathon, you know, they just had, and
I think I would actually enjoy that. I
yeah,
mean, the
people are lined
crowd,
the whole 26
there
miles.
was over 50,000 runners.
Yeah,
I cannot imagine the atmosphere that creates.
yeah, it has to be just electric, right?
Right. I think the majors would be really fun marathons to run for sure. I've never ran a marathon for like a race. I've
Yeah,
only ran like marathons like just by myself.
right.
I've ran a lot of, or I shouldn't say a lot of halves, but I've ran a few here and there.
Sure.
But, you know, I would love to run one of the majors just
Yeah.
because of the atmosphere that it brings.
Yeah, that's true. I forget because, you know, there's times where the the trail ones can be tough whenever like for me some like a place that I can find myself whenever I start to struggle is whenever I'm like say it's like I don't know like 8 miles 6 7 8 miles until you see anyone and it's like that time alone in the woods sometimes it's like damn dude it's kind of lonely like there's a part of me that's like man I just wish there was just someone else you know because like you did that like in my mind it starts to creep in where I'm going you start to feel like you're the only one out there, you know? You
Right.
forget that there's other people out there, and in your head, you're just like kind of get into that pain cave a little bit, and you're like, fuck, I'm the only one out here. I'm the only one. Everyone else is probably just like on their couches at home, and here I am. Like, it's cold as hell. It's 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. And here I am 10 miles into this trail for whatever reason. Like, and then you just get done. You can't wait to sign up for the next one.
I was gonna say you got to remember you signed up for this.
Yeah, I
So.
paid money to be here. Yeah, I paid money to be here.
You know, I can do with or without. There's perks to having someone there with you running.
Sure.
Like for the 100 miler at Shawnee, uh, you know, for the first 40 miles, I was running with a woman named Shannon.
Hmm.
She's a great friend now. Her and her husband, they're definitely some big supporters of mine. And it was amazing sharing those miles with her. We had our ups and downs, and it was just nice. You in 40 miles, you really get to know someone, and
Yeah.
it's just, for me, that was a great experience.
Hmm.
Um, Also, I love like this Sunday, I'm going to run 20 miles on the trail up at Scales,
Yeah.
and I kind of hope I don't see anyone, to be
Yeah.
honest. It's like a form of meditation for me
Right.
where you're running. I kind of zone out in a way, and then I just feel like I have no worries at all,
Yeah.
and I can just do my own thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I think there's something really, it seems like adults, the older you get, the faster life kind of starts to move, right? And the faster everything's coming at you left and right. A lot of people don't really take that time to like kind of have quiet time to themselves or to just like think or to just, not think at all. Maybe is the better way to look at it, to just not think about anything for a little bit.
It varies.
Um, yeah, it can be one drastic or the other, just kind of whatever you need at the time. That's what's beautiful about it, It's kind of like it's going to be up to you and it's going to kind of just be whatever your mind makes of it. But yeah, that's what I think I've discovered about whenever you're out, even if you're just like training and you're out for 10 miles, just like any sort of time like that where, and to me, it's not the same as like being in the gym for an hour whenever I'm like trying to focus on form and counting reps and sets and all these things. Like there's nothing, it's not the same as just being out
It is very different.
5 miles into a run and like it's just one foot in front of the other. And like I said, just depending on kind of whatever you need, it can be you're not thinking about anything
Or you can be deep
or
in thought about
or
something.
deep in thought about things that at home maybe inside the boundaries, because whenever you're at home in the boundaries inside of your own house, now you're the man of the house. Now you're engaged, I think. Is that what you said whenever we spoke at
Correct.
Shawnee?
Yes.
So yeah, you've got like the responsibilities of being a husband, and we're about to have our first daughter here in 4 weeks. So it's like once you come back home, I can't just be like in my head with these things. It's like I have to be here.
Present.
So to be able to have that time to go and like do whatever you need to do mentally, I think is something a lot of people should strive for. And I think running provides that in a very like one of the best forms that you can get it.
I agree. I think for me, if I am thinking, I do a lot of reflecting
Mm,
on my day. Because I typically run in the evening. So I do a lot of reflecting on that. I do some thinking about my other runs and
yeah.
what I have coming up what I have coming up in, the next week or two. You know, like you said, I'm engaged to my beautiful fiance Amanda.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We're very happy. We're very excited.
Yeah.
Uh, she's still active duty military, so I'm making a move out to Utah here shortly. So I think about that a lot.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So I reflect a lot if I'm in thought. And that's what I think about.
Yeah. Yeah, I think yeah, it kind of like I said, it kind of can just it depends, it can kind of go back and forth. That's what's so nice about it. And a lot of times I think I find myself um yeah, I think that's where I spend a lot of time. I think about like I'll even, I start thinking about things I've said throughout the day, and like I'll get like into that deep of it of like, how did I portray myself throughout the day? I've been like, trying to um I think we kind of talked in every message, about how we were both starting to get back into faith and find, I guess find our faith again. I don't know if that's a good way to put it for you, but
That's a great way to put it for sure.
um so, I'm like back reading the Bible and stuff, and I'm really like digesting it now, and trying to learn and like reading about how, we should be carrying ourselves as people. And um I've realized that I find myself sometimes not on the best end of that. I can get worked up, be emotional. Um, and I think that running, that time where I can kind of go and let those crazy thoughts kind of flood in, and actually just like let them come in, face them, see what it is, and then now they're gone. Now I can come back with this like almost like more peace over the other aspect of my life. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. You kind of digest those thoughts while you're out there. You think about them, you're able to process them, and then you're able to come to a conclusion of, I might have did this wrong, but there's so many things that I did right. Or, and I don't want to speak for you on the other end of the spectrum, maybe you give yourself some grace, like we're not perfect. No one's
Mm,
perfect, So maybe that realization kind of hits you, like we have free will and we don't always make the right decisions, but that doesn't make us any less valuable.
sure. Yeah. Yeah, grace is a big one. That's allowing yourself that kind of grace, especially whenever, someone like myself or someone like yourself that's like struggle with kind of the mental health stuff. It's really hard for people that have had those kinds of issues to like give yourself the grace that's kind of necessary. Um,
Self-compassion.
yeah, what, there's we're very a lot of people are very against, kind of showing themselves that compassion.
I
That
know it's funny that you say that. It's like you got to treat yourself like you would treat one of your friends, if that
Yeah,
makes sense. Like your friend could do anything in the world and you'd still be there to support them. So why don't you support yourself like that?
yeah, yeah. That's what I agree with that completely. I think a lot of people struggle with that and not wanting to treat themselves as if they're worth more or capable of more. Maybe like I don't know. Um, Again, I can't speak for everybody. It just seems like there's an overall low level of self esteem in human beings these days. Like
That's definitely something that I struggled with a
not a
lot.
lot of people having a very good time. Um, and for multiple different reasons. So yeah, I don't really know where I'm going with that. I guess that's just an observation that I've kind of made over the last couple of months. But
I mean, I could elaborate on that in a way.
yeah,
I mean, there's just a lot of things that people go through every day and you don't know what kind of struggle someone is going through. Whether it's financial hardships, which is I feel like a big one right now, geopolitical stuff going on, um, a loss of a loved one. It could be anything, suffering from addiction, wanting to break that cycle, um, not believing in something, uh, just overall daily life stress, work related. I mean, there's a lot of people going through a lot of hard times right now, especially I know financially people are really struggling
hmm,
just because the cost of living keeps going up, but the wages aren't going up with it,
right,
to meet inflation. So I mean, the government shutdown is affecting, a lot of government workers, people on food stamps that need that support.
Hmm.
They aren't getting. I think they actually did get it, but you get where I'm
Yeah.
going. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of bad in the world, but you got to remember there's a lot of good too.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what you're going through, there is a light at the end of that tunnel.
Yeah. Going like kind of back to faith, talk about a little bit of my journey that I've like kind of been on with that. Is that
Sure.
have you found yourself on an atheist side of things?
No, I've never found myself there
Were
necessarily.
you raised like
I was raised
religious?
Catholic.
Okay, I
hmm
gotcha. Are you
Uh,
still Catholic? Are you still
that's a great question.
yeah?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't. There, there's a. It's like a. I have conflicting views on some of that. The not necessarily the Catholicism side of things.
Right.
Just some of the ways that the teach or the church teaches it, I don't necessarily agree with. And then to go along with that, and I'm not perfect, and I shouldn't judge people.
Sure.
But there's like there, just from my experience, there's a lot of people that don't, they're Catholic and they go to church,
Hmm.
but they don't live by those values of you know love and spreading the good.
Hmm.
So I don't attend service. Um, I'm not sure that I consider myself Catholic or not, but I believe in those. I believe in a lot of those beliefs.
Right.
It, and that's it's kind of hard to elaborate on that. There's so much that goes into it, but
What would have been some of your objections, or not maybe objections, but just things that you don't agree with? And the reason I'm asking is not because I disagree. Um, the last couple of months, I've been like, as you can see, I have like an altar over here that I pray at twice a day now. I've been really into Orthodox Christianity, and that was like kind of where I started. I was my whole journey back to faith was like, okay, it's not that I don't believe Jesus, not that I don't believe in a God. It's just that like I feel like the mainstream like Protestant movement I'm being pushed about it's not there's like a disconnect, like something is off is what it felt like. So
yes.
I was like I spent all this time going between like okay, which denomination of Protestantism or Catholic or Orthodox, this was like where it started and I've been heavily now divulged into the Orthodox side of Christianity.
So I'm sorry, I should know this because I went to Catholic school and learned all about this. But what are some differentiations between that and Catholicism?
So, first of all, let me just start off by saying that I'm no expert. Okay,
Oh, neither am I.
I'm 3 months into this, into learning about this, and um,
Just give me the broad overview.
so up until 1200, Catholicism and Orthodoxy were the same church. There was no, it was just one church up
Okay.
until 1200. That's whenever they say 1054 is the date of the Great Schism. That's whenever Rome. There was five main patriarchs of the church at the very beginning, which was Rome, Jerusalem, Antioch. Um, there's two more I should know these. Constantinople, I think, and then there's another one, but there's five major ones. Um, to the issues of the Pope wanting basically to claim supremacy over all Christians, and then an issue regarding the Filioque, which is in the Nicene Creed. I don't know the Nicene Creed. I don't know if you're familiar. It's just like It's kind of like it's the main statement of belief of Christianity.
Okay.
And in the Nicene Creed, it said for at the very from the beginning of time up until around it was like 700-800 that Rome was trying to start adding what they call the filioque into the Nicene Creed, which means filioque stands for and the Son. So the Nicene Creed it says that. Um, I'm gonna grab this. I'll read it to you directly. I got it right
Cool.
because this is important because this is
This is one of the big differences,
this is
or where it's split.
this is so the so this is an Orthodox Bible, by the way. So this Nicene Creed is different than the one that's in like a Catholic Bible.
I feel like a lot of the Bibles are like a little, even the Catholic Bibles, they'll have different translations and whatnot. But
Yeah. So that was another like whole issue that I was facing, right? I was like, which Bible do I have four different Bibles up there. Like this is a whole progression that I've went through to land on like kind of what I'm in like the Orthodox what I'm studying now. But anyway, so the Nicene Creed um in the Orthodox Bible, it says about three-fourths of the way through. It says, and I believe in the Holy Spirit, the Lord and giver of life, who proceeds from the Father, who with the Father and the Son together is worshiped and glorified, who spoke by the prophets.
so
And
they're referencing Jesus.
yes, in the Catholic Bible, they added the filioque, which means translates to and the Son. So where here it says the so I believe in the Holy Spirit, the Lord, the Lord and the giver of life, who proceeds from the Father. They added proceeds from the Father and the Son.
Oh, okay.
So this is like obviously a major conflict. This was like the whole reason, like that split the whole church up. That them adding who proceeds from the Father and the Son. Rome wanted to add the filioque into the Nicene Creed. The other four main patriarchs of the church all voted against it and said, no, this is never how it's been. And Rome wanted to, and that was 1054, the Great Schism. Rome separates itself from the one church, and now you have Orthodox and Catholic and Roman Catholicism.
And with that comes more changes down the line.
Yeah, and then eventually, in 1600, is whenever the Reformation happens, and Martin Luther, Protestantism emerges in the 1600s from Martin Luther and Lutheranism. That was the main split off the Catholic Church that now gives us, Methodist and Presbyterian and Anglican and Lutheran and
Correct.
Baptist and all the other
All
ones.
different denominations.
Yeah, there's like 200 plus. There's so many of them. So that alone made me really nervous about Protestantism to begin with. I was like, okay,
What's going
so
on
many.
here?
Yeah, I'm
What
like,
is going
this
on
is
here?
yeah. That alone made me really nervous. I was like, this is like too much. I shouldn't have to like decipher through, hundreds of different denominations to try to figure out. It just seems like it's wild, which led me to Catholicism and Orthodoxy. Um, and I guess it kind of just depends on your overall thoughts on like that passage and what that means and the view on it, because what the Orthodox have said is whenever you add the Holy Spirit proceeds from the Father and the Son. What the Orthodox think that you've now done is you've now put God and Jesus
Equally.
and above
The Holy
the
Spirit.
the Holy Spirit. So now it's not a Holy Trinity like it should be, because you have Jesus and God kind of over, and you're kind of undermining the Holy Spirit. So that's sort of like their idea with it. So they think it was the Holy Spirit was you know in eternal or whatever. It was always in God. It wasn't created. It was always there. Again, it was then used through basically Jesus, and so again, I'm no expert. I don't like this is just kind of what I've learned. And then again, the disagreements with the Pope. There's a lot of disagreements about the
Different
infallibility of the Pope and the Pope being able to basically have say over all Christians.
Yeah, see, that's another thing. I feel like it's very political.
Yeah,
That's something that I don't agree with.
yeah, that's from just a little bit of looking into it that I've done. A lot of it was a political move. Um, in my eyes, it was just kind of like a power type of thing. Um, and so, yeah, I have my disagreements with the Pope. And they go back to Peter saying that, God or Jeter gave, Jesus the keys. I can't remember that exact passage, but they said by him giving him the keys. The Orthodox view is that they look at Peter as he was a first amongst equals, not that he was like greater or above anyone else, like the way they do the Pope, the way the Catholics look at the Pope now. It's like
Yeah,
no,
he's
he,
almost praised like he's, I don't want to say God, but
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah. Where, yeah, exactly. And like the Orthodox, like would kind of say, it's like no, Jesus didn't leave like a sole mediator. That's why all the apostles were able to, he gave all the apostles the power to go perform miracles. And there for a little bit, all the apostles were going around to the cities and they were all healing people. Not just Peter, not just Jesus. Jesus gave that authority to all of them.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's just kind of my real basic understanding of the main split between Catholic and Orthodox was that issue with adding the Filioque to the Nicene Creed.
It's so weird that they couldn't just agree on
Yeah,
something.
right. Yeah, there's a lot of, and there's not really, um if you like go online and watch kind of debates between religious people, these um apologists, I think is what they're technically called, where they have these debates, and um a lot of Catholics or a lot of Catholic and Orthodox Christians all would like to see some sort of unity back together. Um,
That's what I'm saying because they're not. None of the religions are far off from each other. They're almost indiscernible in my opinion. And like you said, I'm no expert,
yeah,
but from what I know about them,
right.
apples and oranges.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and I actually just went to Catholic mass 2 weeks ago. Um, because I was like kind of looking into it, and I was like, I don't know, maybe Catholic, because like whenever I was like reading Genesis in the Bible and it's talking about the building of like the tabernacle and the way they built it and like the way it looked, and they had all these like all this imagery, it seems like. But then you like walk into like Protestant churches nowadays, and it's like you don't see that. You walk in,
Right.
but like if you walk into like a parish, like a Catholic parish, or
Beautiful.
yeah, and I'm like, okay, I'm like, this feels a little more like what I'm reading about in the Bible, and um,
That's one thing. I love the churches. I
yeah,
I do. I really love the churches. They're beautiful.
yeah, and they're all designed in a way like there's a reason behind all of it, behind all the buildings, the way like the points, the way it's supposed to like the buildings draw your attention up where it's supposed to be like drawing your attention like to God, like in the heavens. That's like the whole point of them. And Orthodox churches are the same way. Like you walk in, it's still like the stained glass mirrors, and um, they have icons all over. Icons are a big issue with Protestants. Like the fact that Catholics,
We'll have them all along the wall and stuff like
yeah, and
that.
in Orthodox, like they venerate icons, and that's like a huge issue for Protestants. They call it idolatry or whatever. Um,
Idolization, just like the Pope.
yeah, right. So like if like Protestants wouldn't, they're against like any sort of icons or like the saints. They're not really. I don't think. No, I wouldn't say they're against it, but they just look at it as more of like idol.
It's Jesus, God, and the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. Um, Whereas like the Orthodox view of like the icons is not that you worship the icons, but you just like they view it as the same as like if I asked you to like pray for me, you know, like would you pray for? It's the same way they're praying to the saints. Like it's not worship. It's not like I would pray to them the same way I would like pray to God or
Like
it,
yeah, like you said, like if I were to pray for you or one of my friends or family members, I'm not worshiping one of them.
right.
And you can, in my opinion, you can pray to or for anyone.
Yeah.
Like I can, pray to Saint Patrick
Mhm.
or name one and
Yeah, the
ask for their help.
right. Yeah, because yeah, and that's the argument here against that is that you're praying to the dead. Well, in the idea of Orthodox Christianity, right? In the idea that if you're a Christian, you go to heaven. Whenever you die, you're not dead. You're
Correct.
still alive in the kingdom of heaven. So no, you're not praying to the dead. In the Orthodox eyes, their soul, like they're still these are, you're praying to people that are in heaven that have made it, that have crossed over into.
And
Uh,
based on logic, it would mean that they can hear your prayers.
and
And, whether they take those to God or if they help answer those, I don't know.
that's what the intercede. So they intercede on behalf, whereas they can help deliver that prayer to God.
Hmm.
Because again, it's viewed as the saints are people that have made it to heaven, that are in heaven. So
Or I guess a better way to think about it is you can ask the saints to pray for you, you know?
right, it's kind of that same thing. So these were all things that I thought about a lot. And I think it's also just like a Western way of thinking, being that we're, from the West. So it just makes sense that whenever these things are not, whenever you think of like, there's even like people around here that are like kind of feel weird about having like a prayer altar, in your house. They're kind of like, oh, what is that? Because it seems like whenever, and maybe I'm completely wrong about this, but in the United States, it was always kind of portrayed that like the like being down on your knees, praying, that kind of thing was always associated with like Muslims, and like
Really?
I don't know, maybe
Mm.
that was just like maybe just because I just grew up in like a racist part of the country. I don't know, but it was like it wasn't like these small towns like you didn't see like the Christians like it wasn't like I don't know. I don't know if you ever watched like a Orthodox liturgy or
No,
like,
I haven't.
but it's just much
Unfortunately.
different. Like the whole thing is basically they sing the whole thing, basically the whole service, and like
I would like that.
it's a very different experience that seems very strange for us because it's Eastern practices. We have to remember that Jesus was Middle Eastern
Hmm.
and these are Eastern practices. So over here, yeah, it's like it looks very like strange to us in our Western
Well, even with
civilization.
Catholicism, like it sit, stand, kneel,
Yeah.
kneel, sit, stand,
Yeah.
when I was a little kid, my parents had me, get on my knees and say a prayer every night.
Hmm.
But I suppose I can see the viewpoint of where it's looked at odd here, like you were saying.
Yeah. Maybe that was just like a view that I don't know. Maybe I don't know how that view got in my mind, but it just seemed like that was kind of
The vibe.
the correlation that you would see with those kinds of practices. But then again, like as I read and I was listening to a guy on YouTube and he was, there's like 200 references in the Bible to body posture while you're praying or worshiping. And guess how many of those are sitting down?
Zero.
One.
Oh,
And I think it was,
is it like cross-legged or something like that?
no,
Or
it was because I think it was Paul. It was after he just got done wrestling with God. And so he went out to the desert and fasted for 7 days and come back after fasting for 7 days and was just so weak physically. So during the service, he sat. And so that was like the only time someone was referenced in the Bible about sitting down. And so the guy was Father Josiah. That's who I watch on YouTube. And he makes a joke. He's like, so if you're gonna sit down during the service, he's like, I might ask you. You've been
Have you been
fasting for the last 7 days.
Right.
Yeah, just joking. They have places where you can sit and like you don't like get looked down upon if you like go in there and like if you sit down. It's not like that kind of vibe. But yeah, that's the only one. All the rest of them are either kneeling or standing.
I think we should cater to the elderly.
Yeah. Um, like pews weren't introduced. I think it's like 16, like 1800, something like that. Before that, you were always standing in church. Like you never sat down.
Do you know how many of the prayer positions are standing?
I don't. No.
Because now I'm curious about that.
No. I'll run a quick Google search on here real fast about Bible references to.
I guess because when I think about praying, it's really funny that we're in this conversation right now. But like deep prayer, I feel like you are on your knees. Whether that be praying for something or begging for forgiveness or or praying for forgiveness. I'm interested to hear the results.
Yeah, let's see here. See if I can get. I don't remember exactly what video that was. If I did, I would pull up that video where Father Josiah talks about it. Yeah, I'm not seeing a direct number.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it.
But yeah, I'm not sure on that. Yeah, there's something, and that's I think another thing that got me so interested in Orthodox is sort of these like kind of what I view are just like again like getting down on your knees to pray or like that kind of that like that showcase of humility, of like that's why you prostrate 3 times before you pray, and that's the sign of the cross, and then like I'll be on my knees and it's like forehead all the way to the ground, and the point is like whenever your forehead like touches the ground, it's like showing that like I can bow no lower because of the floor. It's like if I could bow lower, I would, but I physically can't. So it's like there's these little points behind um, that to me feel like brings more of like the fullness of the faith. We're like kind of this Western Christianity that seems like it's like there's a disconnect in sort of those types of little small values. It's just like let's just show up and like we just sing, read a passage, and like go home.
Go through the motions, basically.
Yeah. To me, I'm like that. I feel like that's not. If I'm really wanting to go all in, and I'm like I do, it's like no, I need the fullness of like what we're supposed to be doing here. So I don't know if
No, that resonates.
with and with Catholics, they uphold that a lot, I think well too. Depending on, I've went to a lot of Catholic services where it feels like there's just a feeling that you get inside those places that like have those kind of ritualistic. I guess I don't want to call them rituals, but that's just the word that came to mind. But
I don't think there's anything wrong with calling them.
Yeah.
I mean, some people might, but
right. So, yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know.
It's powerful.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in, because it's like you feel like you're like, okay, I'm going to learn and I'm ready to learn all of it, and you just find yourself down. You're like, oh wow, this is well, it makes sense that like the idea of salvation too. This idea of like it's everlasting, right? Like some Protestants believe that you could gain your salvation at baptism. Like I was baptized as a baby, and it's the idea that you could be baptized and that's like you've been given salvation, now you're good. Whereas like Orthodox believe, I think Catholics kind of the same way. It's like no, it's like
you have to lead a good life.
Yeah, it's faith and works. You can't you have to, just because you get baptized doesn't mean that you've been given salvation. That this is an everlasting, you're always trying to gain salvation. You're always trying to, you can't just like think you've done enough.
Correct. And who's to say what's right or wrong, honestly?
Yeah,
I
do you
think
read the Bible? Do you?
I've read through it one time in my
Yeah.
life. I really should pick one back up and, go through some of it. It's awful to say. I could use the excuse every time that I don't have time, but realistically, there's 24 hours in a day. I have time.
Yeah.
I have time,
Yeah. Right.
Uh, so I probably will pick one up and, start reading through some of the passages and digging in a little deeper. Because, like I said, I don't really know exactly what denomination or if I even belong to a denomination.
Mm.
I just think that you should live by, the word that was given, and you should try and be a good person.
Yeah.
And, those are hard things to do in and of themselves. So I think if you can do that most of the time, and this is just my personal belief, then the good will come back to you.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Your experiences after the military, it didn't draw you in like closer to the idea of God? Um, it seems like there's always, you hear people that get out and then they kind of have this. Did that ever like happen? Was there ever a time where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, God is real? Like,
yeah. So I've I've always believed, that
yeah.
something's out there, and you know, I guess I should divulge a little bit deeper into that. So I would say, there was military experiences that kind of, pushed me away from God, and
Mm,
then I didn't really know what I believed in. I didn't
mm,
believe that there were like aliens that are our God, or
right.
like maybe we're in a simulation and like our idea of God is the one controlling the simulation, or
Yeah.
a lot of stupid, or I shouldn't call it stupid, but a lot of random stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I've always believed that there's something out there. And then, I got out of the military, and once I really started feeling good again, like after like countless therapy sessions, after, the help from running
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot, I was kind of able to focus back in on that. And I don't know the exact moment that I started believing in God again, but it definitely happened. I think if I were to think about it, I think I was probably having a bad day, and I can remember multiple occasions of this. I don't know the exact time, date,
Right.
or whatever, but I think I just prayed one day and it made me feel a lot better, and then I really started to think about it a lot more, and it just made sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and since I started praying and, believing again in, one God, Jesus and the Holy Spirit,
Mm-hmm.
um, my life's been significantly better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, I wouldn't appreciate it as much if I didn't go through that kind of period of my life where, I pushed him away.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I get that. And it's kind of, it was like, whenever I stopped really kind of the same thing, I was like getting to the idea of like, I didn't even know if I believed in anything. And
Right.
I thought all of it was kind of just like a hoax and none of it made sense. And it seemed like the more I got down that path, the more like things started to happen in my life that were like, oh, wait a second. It was like the more, the way I heard this quote, the guy was talking about, I think it was like a Theo Vaughn quote. Someone asked Theo. He was like, "What?" He's like, "What have you been up to, man?" He goes, "Oh," he said, "I'm just out here searching for the Lord." And the guy said, "Theo," he said, "The Lord ain't lost, brother." And that stuck with me so hard. Whenever I applied it to my life, I was like, that. So that's what opened my. Whenever I started reading the Bible again, before I picked up the Bible and I'm just reading, and I'm like, just like make it clear to me that you are real and that this is real and that everything is going on, like that everything, Jesus, all of it, like just where is the line in here that like just confirms it all for me, right? Like I went into it with that mindset every single time. And this last time I went into it, I was like, I'm just gonna read it and just see what it says and just let whatever kind of, catches on my heart that kind of resonates with me, then okay. Whatever kind of doesn't, then I won't get too hung up on it and
Right.
just kind of move through it and see what happens. And yeah, I think the principles that are laid out in there, and the more that you apply them to your life, it's like no doubt that things have gotten a lot better in my life just from applying some basic principles and trying to live in the eyes of what seems like God wants us to live in. And it's like, coincidence that the more I do those things, like the better my life is getting. Like
I
I
don't
don't
think
know.
so.
Yeah, it's like I
No.
don't know if there's a coincidence there.
Yeah. I uh, it's powerful, man, because like you said, like when you start living that way and like I said, just doing good, putting happiness out there because, we can go back to how sad and frustrated people are right now in the world.
Hmm.
But, I can smile at myself every day and be happy with myself. I could also be mad and angry with myself too. I choose not to do that
Right.
anymore
Yeah.
because what's the point of that? So if you're putting, good good vibes out and you're doing the right stuff, man, it just comes back to you and it just makes things get better. Like you
Hmm.
said,
Yeah.
I don't think there's any coincidence. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not coincidental.
Yeah. I stopped believing in coincidences. I no longer believe in that.
What do you think about uh does everything happen for a reason?
Do I think that? Are you asking?
Yeah.
Or
What do you
I
think?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think so. I think some sort of reason. Um
Even the bad,
Even
yeah.
the bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. And it's really hard.
It's really
But
bad.
it
There's some really bad things that happen.
but in order for me to disavow what you're saying, I would have to throw away a lot of really good shit that's like um, you know, that definitely I feel like has happened in my life that like I alone did not make happen. Like I alone couldn't have. Because it's like I've seen myself at how bad of a human being I can be. So whenever like good things kind of happen, I'm like, can't just be me. Like,
Right.
not that same guy that I've seen before. So it's like even the stuff that doesn't make sense to us. Um, and there was a priest I was listening to. He said, us as humans, we want the answers to everything.
We're
And
just not gonna get that.
sometimes we're asking answers, we're asking questions that like we're not gonna get the answers to. And like we have to be ready to just like understand that we're not in this lifetime. It's not meant for us to understand it.
Understand that we're not gonna understand it.
Yeah. And like once you start to, I think, shift into that mindset, you can let a lot of other stuff sort of go. And you can like really start to open up the idea to like God and what all of that really means. I think it's all kind of some sort of synergy there. Once you start to come to grasp with one, like you kind of start to get the fullness of the other.
And I guess you know, you can't have the good without the bad too. It's unfortunate. But you hit those lows and you do bad things,
Hmm.
you know, and then you like you said, you shift your mindset and you start doing the good stuff and the good stuff starts happening to you. And even though, it might not always be like that, trials and tribulations,
Hmm. Yeah.
we go through things to test us, I
Yeah.
think. So,
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. Um, who I was trying to think, when were you serving? Who had been president whenever you were serving? What year was that?
Obama and Trump,
Obama and Trump.
2016 to 22.
So did you see it? Did you notice differences and things just under from the change of leadership going from a Democratic to a Republican president? Was there a difference? You know, there's a lot of, I don't know if you're a political type of person or if you
I'm
keep
not.
up with
I
it, if like,
stay as far away from it
yeah,
as possible. All that is negativity.
yeah,
I don't watch the
um,
news. I don't, if it's important, I'll hear about it.
right. Yeah, I didn't know. That's the attitude I hear from a lot. I have a cousin that was in the Marines, and he'll give you very much of the same answer. He's like I don't want to. He's like I had my fill of it. Like he was like he said it does nothing for me anymore.
Oh
Um,
gosh, was there a difference? I don't know. I think there's a lot of differences happening now.
yeah.
Um, you know, with the sec def. I don't know if you saw all that.
What was it?
They've made a lot of changes recently, like with the physical fitness standards, the
Mm,
grooming standards, readiness, as far as like, people have to be ready to go to war and whatnot. And I think it was a little lackadaisical for a while. Um,
do you think that's a good thing? I know what you're talking about now that you've brought it up. Like, as far as them wanting to, I know Hegseth, I think he's implementing all this new physical fit standard and
he is.
going down that road. Do you think that's like, is it necessary, or do you think there's other things that they should be more focused on, or did you see that decline in physical ability where you were like, oh God,
There,
some of these people might be in trouble?
oh, for sure.
Like,
Oh, for sure.
yeah.
Oh, most definitely. You know, I don't know if it's good or bad. I will say that, I'm against, I'll be honest, I'm against war. I'm against, I just want everyone to be unified. I should just start by saying that. I
Hmm.
want everyone to be unified. I think we're all working, at least I think we should all be working on the same team because we got one earth, we got one place to call home.
Hmm.
And, we keep doing dumb shit to our home and killing people and, acts of violence against each other. Where does that get us? But on the flip side, that's not the life that we live right now. It's not
Yeah.
real. I mean, it could be realistic, but it's not right now. So, as far as like the defense of our country, I think that we definitely need to step it up.
Mm.
I 100% believe that. Whether or not I agree with those changes doesn't really matter as much as I do think that there needs to be some changes. Um, as far as, I think, if you're unhealthy,
Hmm.
if you can't run a couple miles, if you can't lift your body weight or someone else,
Right.
uh, put yourself in some shoes here real quick and think about this. Say you're in a foreign country, you're on a convoy, your vehicle gets blown up by IED, and then you've got a 250-pound overweight individual that gets out of breath walking upstairs, and your leg is blown off and you're bleeding out, and that guy has to carry you to safety.
Mm.
Would you want that, or would you want someone physically fit, strong, and capable to to be there for you?
Yeah. I want the fit guy.
Flip side, flip side, and this is not me being sexist. This is me being a realist. I served with a lot of great men and women. The women that I served with are heroes just as much as, anyone else. In certain career fields, physically demanding career fields, and this might be a controversial statement, but it's a realistic perspective. I served with women that were in my career field that were 110 pounds soaking wet. I was 220 pounds.
Yeah.
How are how could they drag me to safety?
Yeah.
And these females were badasses.
Sure.
And some of them could.
Yeah.
Some of them definitely can. But some of them
Most definitely
couldn't move me.
Yeah.
You know, you try and carry 220 plus my vest, my gun, all my gear on me. It's hard for me to move someone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let alone someone half my body weight.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, I think there's a lot of changes that need to be made, but I don't know if we're going in the right direction, the wrong direction, but there are changes that should be made for sure.
What are some other ones? I don't find like I stay pretty. I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm like super political. I don't have like a side that I side with, but I try to stay up with it. What other kind of changes?
I think there's the Uniform Code of Military Justice. There's a lot of rules and regulations in there that govern the military. It's like a second law book, basically. One of the big things is don't be political on social media. You know,
Yeah.
don't do anything like that. I think that there's a lot of people that do that, and I'm not hating on them for expressing their beliefs and whatnot, because who am I to, you know, say no to that? But there's a lot of people that are a lot of military members that have a lot of followers, and they will express that kind of stuff, and they don't get hemmed up or in trouble for it. And I'm not wanting anyone to get in any kind of trouble or anything, but I
Right.
think they should keep that stuff to themselves. And you're serving the country.
Sure.
You know, you don't have to like the president or any of the political figures, but you've got to know what your mission
Yeah.
is. Like, put that shit to the side and do your job.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know?
you've signed an oath, you know, to put, you know, country above
Your own life.
everything else.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't say in there in the fine print like only if the person you agree
Voted
with,
for.
yeah, is running it. Like that's not one of the
That's
not
not
one
a
of the
stipulation.
constituencies. Yeah, no, it's no matter what. Like,
Right.
yeah, I could see that.
You know, physical standards definitely need to be changed. Put something that I think is something that they don't do well is putting people where they belong and career fields where they belong.
You think that maybe they're just more interested in just the numbers?
Correct.
Just recruiting is way more important than like actual specialty,
right?
Like assignment.
Yes. So I think that they try to do an okay job at it, but I think the Department of Defense is failing there. So, like, for example, you know, we'll go with all right, we'll go two routes with this. We'll go, you know, the 110-pound female. You know, maybe she's cut out for the military, but maybe she's not cut out for this physically demanding job. Maybe she should be placed somewhere where her talents can be used elsewhere.
Sure. That seems like the logical thing to do.
I think so, but, you know, logic isn't one thing that the U.S. government gets right a lot.
Sure.
You know, another thing is, you know, hell, if you need the numbers, you know, the fat dude that, you know, gets out of shape or gets out of breath, you know, walking up 2 flights of stairs, put him at a desk job, you know, or have him get in shape.
Yeah, is that a universal standard, like the fitness and stuff?
Like, you mean like through all branches and
well,
whatnot,
I maybe even like maybe even each branch has kind of their own thing, but like I mean, even people that are like riding desks and people that are, you know,
oh yeah, so
boots on the ground. Are we talking like pretty same
it's
physical
the same,
regimen?
Yeah, it's the same standard.
I mean, that seems kind of wild to me.
So
I feel like there should be some sort of distinction made between like because and the reason I say that is because I feel like maybe you're gonna have more leaning towards the physical fit aspect of the person that's sitting behind the desk as compared to leaning more towards what you should be more capable of on the
correct.
field.
Yes. And
Is that like I feel like that's kind of what you're seeing a little bit. It's more
so they just changed the physical fitness standards, and I don't know exactly what it is, and I think it's applicable to across all the branches.
oh, okay.
But I think that if you are one that's going to get into any kind of shit, I think that there should be different testing,
Sure.
different physical fitness testing. I think, you know, I don't know exactly what that looks like, but for example, like fireman carries or, you know, pushing a Humvee or, there's all kinds of stuff that you could do to like
Hmm.
make sure that someone's physically able to actually do their job if shit hit the fan.
Right.
And, I guess the only career fields that probably have stricter standards are like special ops.
Hmm.
And I don't know what those standards are, but those guys stay in good shape anyways. So you don't have
Right.
to worry about that.
Yeah.
And going back to like, putting people where they should go or should belong, I think, you talked about numbers and whatnot. I think the retention rates would drop significantly, which they're already pretty bad. So, that probably plays a factor into it too.
Yeah. Um. Not to like get into the details, but where were we even at war with people whenever it was Obama and Trump? Where all were we deployed at? Um,
All throughout the
uh,
Middle East,
yeah.
Africa, all over, man. Yeah.
Africa's getting a lot of attention right now.
Hmm.
I don't know. Have you seen Trump's latest remarks regarding the Christians that are being killed in Nigeria?
No,
And they're
no, I haven't.
having and Trump made this big post talking about the United States stands ready if it means boots on the ground type of situation. And um I'm pretty on the side of like the less places we can have our troops, probably the better.
I was just about to go to
What's
that.
that?
I was just about to go to that. So, thank you.
Yeah.
I was gonna say we don't need to be interfering where we don't need to be interfering.
Yeah.
I think we're spread too thin. I think what we should be talking about is peace agreements between countries. And, you know, first and foremost, maybe this sounds selfish. I don't agree with this, but we've already got enough problems in this country.
Mhm.
Why can we not delegate those funds that we're, sending out thousands upon thousands of resources in the God knows how much money in the billions. Why can we not help the homeless population in our own country or do something about all the drugs on the street, which I mean they're trying to crack down on that and whatnot, but I don't think they're doing it in the right way. Why can we not help our own people? Why can we not give relief to families that are struggling to stay in their homes or pay their electric bills? Or, there's so much that we could be using those funds for, in my
Yeah.
opinion. And, my opinion doesn't necessarily matter, but
Well, I think that's a common opinion of a lot of people now.
I think you'd be right. I mean, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
why are we?
Yeah.
Why? Okay,
Yeah.
first of all, just on a one level, you're sending out people to places that we don't need to be interfering with, in my opinion.
Oh, I
You
agree.
know, that's one thing. Second, you're separating people from their families, i.e., the military members and whatnot.
Mhm.
You're sending them places to, you know, where their lives could potentially or are in danger. And these men and women have families,
Yeah.
and they signed up for it. We all did. So I mean, it is what it is, but still, like, why are we allocating our resources towards things that, and
But
putting,
are people big? I know you, like you said, you got, you signed up for this, but it's like, but you didn't sign up to be in the Middle East for some reasons that just seem unknown to the vast majority of people fighting on behalf of really other countries. Like what, that's, I think that's where a lot of people are like, because it's like, yeah, I agree. It's like, yeah, our military people, they signed up to protect and do what they have to do, but it's like, I just don't think that us over here in these places that we're in is really like, what are we gaining from being ready to just send our troops into these
I
places that,
guess, like, we're trying to make peace
yeah, I know that always blows my mind. I'm like,
through
why? You're
violence.
right. Like,
It
what,
doesn't make sense to me,
like we're
brother.
here
It
for
doesn't.
peace, but like we're sending in all the hellfire with it. And it's like, okay, wait a second.
And you could be doing something completely different than war with that money. If you're gonna be there, like, you know, have protections in place, but maybe instead of shooting people and bombing nations and ruining lives, because it's not only military combatants are dying
Hmm.
because of these things, it's whole families,
Yeah.
and I don't know what the answer to that is, but maybe going in there, we already supply so many countries with financial aid and
Hmm.
stuff like that and whatnot, but maybe giving some of these people resources of some kind at like a fraction of what war would cost.
Right. Right. Yeah, but yeah, now you're taking away from some wealthy people the business
Yeah.
of war
Yeah,
and
it's a machine, that's for sure.
yeah, the yeah, once you like dig into how profitable it is that war is for these people, that it just makes total sense why
Yeah, it's a business.
the last thing, yeah, for sure. It's
And it's a shame that that's the way the world works.
hmm yeah, we're seeing it now more than ever, especially it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, we're all over right now. And it just, you can dwell on the negative. I choose not to. But I mean, you can just see, like, I mean, I catch news every now and then, and it seems like we're in a different country. Trump's talking about a different country every day, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what, are we just going to every country now? Like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah.
what the hell are we doing?
Well, the big one right now being Israel, and it's like the money that we send to these people, and I'm not here to get off on some anti-Semitic rant about the Jews, but it's just the money. Like I said, I agree with you completely. To see the state that the country is in as a whole right now is not very good.
And maybe it's greedy to say that we should be helping like Americans out, but I mean, it's the American government. We're the greatest nation in the world, but we have a huge homeless issue. The delinquency in car payments and house payments, and people seeing rises in energy costs,
Yeah,
everything. People are going hungry here.
yeah,
Why don't we fight the war on hunger and the war on homelessness?
yeah, and especially even like around here. I'm seeing like all kinds of people from Evansville that with all the new increases from Centerpoint, Evansville, and I'm reading posts online with people talking about like I had to choose between electricity and like my mortgage this month. Like that's what it's coming to, and like, dude, that's
That's
that,
serious.
and it's right here. Like it's 10 miles down the road.
And
You're
what's
seeing it,
what's
and
going to happen in 2 or 3 months from now?
right, yeah. What happens whenever all these people this starts to happen, and then like I said, you'll turn on the news and hear about some $30 billion care package that we're shipping off to Ukraine or somewhere, and it's like, why? Like, hold on a second. Like,
We could have used this.
I mean, hey, maybe we just send 20, and maybe you take the other 10 and do something here with it. Like, do they really need, like, do we really, we want to
Obviously,
call for a ceasefire and call for all, stop the wars, but at the same time, like, we're the ones that's like funding the equipment to do it. It's just like,
and the American people are hurting,
yeah,
And I mean, I'm not saying that, no one deserves to hurt and no one deserves to, have their, for Ukraine, for example, they don't deserve that. I mean, those families don't. I don't know why, or, I don't care to know why Russia's doing it. I wish they would stop. But we should, in my opinion, be focused on us. Like, it's the US government, it's for the people, right? Apparently.
supposed to be.
So,
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
you
It's
know,
it's a shame. And that's one of the things that I think a big contributing factor to why there's so much sadness and hate and despair in a lot of Americans right now.
yeah. Do you think that's all random, the division of people, or do you think that's are you because I kind of lean towards I think it's all kind of like you know I
I'm a
think
bit
it's
of
it's
a
it's for the best. It's in the best interest of the government for its people to be separated
right, right.
and to be propped up on this machine and be dependent on the government to step in and help and to be it's like they kind of want to keep you just good enough to where like you don't go completely under and then they start to lose everything, but like they don't want you got to keep the normal people in check, and keep them sort of. And I think the best way to do that is to make them think that they all hate each other.
Yeah, I think this has been going on for a long time, a
Yeah,
lot longer than we've been alive for, a lot
right.
longer than our parents have been alive for.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a big conspiracy theorist.
Mm,
So, I mean, there's a lot of different reasons and a lot of different ways that they probably do this,
hmm
but I definitely think that as a country we're severely divided when we're all in the muck right now, I
right.
like what the top 10% are probably doing pretty good. The rest of us as middle class are all struggling.
Yeah.
I mean, I know like some very well off people that, it doesn't affect them or anything like that, but you know, all my friends, I hear them, talking about how they're struggling right now, financially, and it's a shame that I don't think anyone should really have to do that in the US.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, well, and and I have friends that are Democrats, I have friends that are Republicans, I have people like me that don't identify with really any kind of
hmm
group. And I mean, it's not just the left, it's not just the right. I mean, it's every single middle working class American. What is going on right now has us, like you said, it's so divided between the red and the blue, but that's not what really matters. What matters is we're all feeling the effects
hmm
of the global tension rise,
Yeah.
the cost of living going way up at an exponential rate. Uh, People are losing jobs left and right because of a lot of factors. AI is one of them. I've heard a lot of people are losing jobs over AI and whatnot. That's replacing a ton of jobs. So you've got a job shortage, people not making any money, people struggling. They still have bills to pay, and we're fighting about whether we like Donald Trump or not.
Yeah.
Oh, and among other things.
Right.
So I just wish everyone could get on the same page, that this is not a political thing. This is more of a crisis
Yeah. That's
that's affecting us all. It doesn't matter whether you believe with the left or right narrative. They're, in my opinion, they're all corrupt,
yeah.
and they don't have our best interests in mind. But what needs to happen, or what should happen, is we should all be looking after each other.
Yeah. What about the idea of like, because I've had this conversation with a couple people about it being like a spiritual warfare where it's like in the midst of good and evil. Um,
So, can you
if
elaborate a little bit on that?
well, it just like it seems like everything so negative the way that it's been the last couple of years. It's like you have this rise of what seems like young Americans kind of waking up to the corruption, um, the lies of the U.S. government. It just seems like, and it's hard to like point my finger like on what it's gonna be or like what is like. It just feels like like you said, this tension that is it's not just here. It seems like across the whole world. There's just like just a super high level of tension.
I think it can be simplified to control through fear,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Oh yeah. I think so.
it seems like everything that's put out into social media and the news right now is to scare us and to keep us in line.
You know what's interesting? Since I've started my journey with God and I've been reading the Bible and all these things, I've noticed like I don't spend as much time like looking at the apps anymore. Like I still do, I still scroll or whatever, but I don't do that as much. I don't even really listen to music anymore. Like I've gotten to the point where
Really?
yeah, where I think like dude, like conspiracy whatever, but it's like gotten to the point where I think like our music is like dark
Programming us
and
and
demonic and yeah, dude, it's like kind of evil and I've noticed like even now whenever I listen to music for too long, I start to just get like annoyed and it like kind of pisses me off and I'm like, dude, I have to turn it off. I don't want to hear it. Like whatever that the melody is, whatever the tune is, it's like just not vibrating well with me. I'm like, I get annoyed by it. Like this last marathon I ran, I listened to podcasts the whole time. I've never ran and listened to podcasts. I've always hated it. And now it's like I didn't want to hear music. Like
I
I can't
listen
even.
to books and whatnot on some of
Um,
my long runs. I love music, but
yeah,
I a lot of the songs are hateful, rap.
yeah,
It's all about killing and
mm-hmm,
doing drugs and violence, negativity, and portraying it as cool,
right,
and I listen to it,
yeah,
but no, it's definitely negative. I listen to like metal and hard rock and stuff like that. That's typically,
yeah,
not good if you listen to the
right,
lyrics and,
yeah,
uh, you know, and there's some good stuff out there. There's some good songs
yeah,
and whatnot, but
yeah. I still listen to some music. I should say maybe I've switched it up though. I listen to like softer music now.
okay.
Like I don't like the stuff that's like kind of high. Like I mean I have Snoop and Tupac right there on a poster. Like yeah, I'm into the rap and but now it's like I don't know that like if it's like too fast it's like it makes me anxious almost. Like I just can't even like have it on or listen. It just makes me like uncomfortable. I'm like
That's something that I've noticed with running, though. That's funny you bring that up, is my heart rate can lower or spike
mm,
depending on what I'm listening to.
yeah, for sure. For
So
sure.
that's just something that I just thought about, an interesting observation. But I get what you're saying for sure.
So yeah, I don't know. That's yeah, that even like with movies now, I catch myself just like I feel like there's just a lot of propaganda and a lot of shows and movies that like before I didn't really like notice and now it's like I can't help but like watch a movie without just like like pick out on some message that I feel like it's trying to portray, and I'm like, what is this?
Right.
Like why is this relevant? And like, I don't have like an exact thing that that I can think of right this second, but this seems like every movie there's some sort of like persuasion trying to happen that like
I
to
got. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. That's I was
I got something for you. Like
yeah
all these, like, well, reality TV in a general sense,
yeah
but like all these like dating shows.
mm,
Here's a great correlation to what you're talking about. At least I think so.
yeah
Look at what they portray on TV in these dating shows, like Love Island or The Bachelor,
yeah
or I can't think of, many of them off the
yeah.
top of my head. There's you know
The
a dozen or
Love is Blind. That's one of them.
oh
I've watched that one.
yeah,
I've watched it
is that the one where they're speaking like through a
through the
screen?
wall, and
Okay.
they don't see each other until after they've gotten engaged.
So, oh yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Yes, exactly, Chase. Yes. What do all these show? What's the message of all these shows? Infidelity.
Mm,
Am I wrong or am I right? Like maybe I'm wrong.
yeah,
That's what I get from it.
right. No, that makes yeah. I think so.
And what do you think people? Infidelity is a huge problem in
Mm-hmm.
this country. With or without those TV shows. But what do you think people, growing up or watching these shows right now, or, they might be in a committed relationship, but they like watching these shows, and then they get an idea of, oh wow, like this is so much fun, or
Yeah,
this is so cool. Maybe, oh, I'm happy my favorite person on this dating show, was committed to this one person, but then they switch it up.
right,
And, and I mean, I'm not saying like every relationship is perfect, and by no means are they, but then they start to look at their relationship and they're like, oh, maybe I'm not happy.
right.
Maybe I should go search for something else.
Yeah,
And I mean, I don't have a problem with people getting divorced, but I can't judge people for cheating or anything. Not that I would never do that, but I just, like correlating to subliminal messages through TV shows and whatnot. I think it's a subliminal message to cheat on your partner or drive divorce rates up or whatever.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's just one thought that I had,
yeah, yeah. I was just listening to another podcast, and they were talking about the issue regarding just like lust in America, and like um the super insane high rates of like people that are addicted to porn and spend hours and hours upon time watching porn, um, and how big of an impact that is having on especially young men. Uh, that wasn't something luckily that I ever like struggled with, like addiction to
Yeah,
porn or
thank
like
God. Yeah, same.
um
No, I've
and like I
watched it, but
and
I
oh well yeah I mean
everyone
I was a
does. I feel
kid
like,
yeah I mean
the
I
Hustler
don't
magazines.
yeah yeah I mean I don't now I can actually say that like with confidence now that I don't watch porn anymore um but it just like now that it just seems and not that I have like my life figured out because I'm still just all over the place like everyone else, but it seems like now again I'm like getting away from these things and I'm kind of making these changes in my life. It's like I'm able to see more clearly like just such the negative impacts that these things that have become such social norms to us have, how just destructive they are as a whole.
Oh, for sure.
And it's like whenever you look at these things like porn or alcohol, like on the face of them, just like on the face of them, it's like, oh, well, like how serious can it really get or how bad can it be? But then like once you dive into like the real like psychological effect that these things can have over such a like huge audience,
Mm-hmm.
is like,
And it's normalized.
and it's normalized. Like that's where it becomes like such a problem or such an issue. Like for me, anyway, is like, yeah, well, of course, like porn is bad, like drinking too much, like all the, of course, like not great for you. It's like, but why is it so just normal? Like, why is it so just like, yeah, well, that's just like how it is. That's how we live. And it's almost weird if you like choose a life that doesn't involve those things. People are like, oh, what's wrong with this guy? You know?
Right. Oh, a party pooper.
Yeah, it's like, what's wrong with him? That was something that I kind of went through whenever I stopped drinking. It was like,
Oh, you lose friends and
oh yeah,
yeah, for sure.
yeah,
You don't get invited to things.
sure.
But then you realize you're not really missing out on anything either.
Yeah, well, FOMO is such a crock of shit. The fear of missing out,
Yeah.
is such a crock, in my opinion. And
Yeah.
I went through that. Like,
I
um,
have things that I have fears of missing out on, but it's not that kind of stuff.
right, yeah, yeah, that was a big part. It's like, well, now that not going to parties or not going out to a bar or whatever the case might be. It was like, well, what am I gonna do now? What am I gonna spend my time doing whenever I'm not like
So many
just
better options.
yeah, yeah. I realized I was like, oh wait, I had never actually started living yet. I hadn't even figured it out. I was just too busy, held up.
Yeah, and then when you get rid of those things, you get a clarity that
Mm,
is just
yeah,
it's so it's unreal. Like
yeah,
the clarity that it gives you, and you're just like, what was I doing? Why
right,
was I living like this? Why was I thinking this way? Why
yeah,
why did I do the things that I did? And you can always have you're always gonna have regrets and stuff, but you kind of just gotta, you know that you're in a better place now. And
hmm,
and then, you get that clarity and you're like you said, now I'm actually living instead of, for example, drinking my life away or watching porn for, you know, 3 hours a night after I get off work, or using drugs, or uh what's another one? Oh, here's a good one. Like pissing your life away by, going and getting fast food every day
mm,
and just eating your life away, or people that's a big struggle
yeah,
with America too, is eating unhealthy. And I don't blame anyone for any of that stuff, because it could be me, it could be you, uh but once people get out of those ruts, there's a big sense of clarity.
hmm,
At least there was for me when I was going through, certain things. And once I got that clarity, it made me realize what actually matters in my life.
yeah. Yeah, I had another discussion with a friend kind of about the same thing of how many people sort of this kind of like haze and confusion you're talking about that it seems like everyone just sort of gets programmed to live into, it's
Just go with the flow and the status
yeah.
quo.
And, when was the last time anyone, you ever asked them like what they really wanted in life or like what their goals were or what they were looking forward to in the future or like anything going on, and most people like don't have answers to those questions.
No,
They don't really have anything ahead. They just, they got,
just doing what they're doing and
yeah.
going through the motions.
And I mean, I did that for such a long time. And, at one time I thought like that was just how my life was going to be. I was like, well, I'm just going to, probably be another, I'm going to just get a job and I'll have a family and, this typical, like, I
Life's
can.
too short to not live a fulfilling one.
Yeah, and it's so many people you see. My buddy made a comment about the. I can't remember who the quote. I can't remember who said it, but basically, it's like you look around at people and you're just like surprised more people aren't just like killing themselves. You're like,
That's depressing.
yeah, you're like, how are people not like,
And I've been there.
yeah,
Trust me, I've been there.
yeah, yeah,
You sit in that state for so long, and it's like, how are some people doing it?
yeah,
What are you doing? Like I get it. It's hard to get help, and I should say I'm a huge advocate for suicide prevention and awareness, especially with veterans like myself.
Hmm.
And I'm trying to raise money for the Wounded Warrior Project right now. My goal is $3,000 by the time the Salt Lake City half marathon comes up in April. But stuff like that, I try and give back, and you know, uh, sorry to get off on a little tangent.
No.
I go on like veteran focused Facebook groups, people my age, help people a lot older than me. And like there will be people that like reach out on there and they're like, I really need someone to talk to right now. Or like I'm really going through it, or I just started drinking or using drugs again, or like I want to die.
Hmm.
And I'll put my info out there. I'll be like, hey, give me a call, send me a text or whatever. And you'd be surprised. Like, I've had a lot of people call me, text me, start conversations with them,
Yeah.
just try. And I'm no therapist or anything like that, but just try and, you know, help them through what they're going through, and,
Yeah.
tell them if they ever need anything that I'm here for them. And, you know, um, I'm trying to inspire other veterans to, do something with their lives if they're struggling with something like, you know, it doesn't have to be running. It can be anything. There's three things that you need in anything in life, in my opinion. It's determination, dedication, and devotion.
Hmm. Yeah.
And if you have those three things, there's really not much that you can't do. You know,
Yeah. And I think there's probably a lot of people out there that sound like what you're experiencing that really just need someone to unload to every now and then.
I know
How
it,
many
man.
people out there just like need to get some shit off their chest every now and then?
There's
And
so many people that just don't have anyone, too.
yeah,
Anyone to talk to. They might have family and friends and whatnot, but they don't feel comfortable talking to them about some of the stuff that, you can talk to a stranger about, or they don't feel comfortable talking to those
without
people in
that
their
feeling
life.
of judgment.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, if you can help someone, help them.
Yeah. I think that's what we're called to do. Help whenever we can. And then, I think that's awesome what you're doing with the Wounded Warrior and uh, raising money for them. And yeah, it's a good cause, man. It's awesome.
It is, yeah. There's a lot that they give back to veterans. They help them with counseling and
Hmm.
a lot of that stuff. And
Do you follow Matt Johnson, that
Johnson.
ultra runner? He's like out of tech. He just ran across the state of Texas, the Texas 1000 or whatever.
I think I saw that. I don't
Um,
follow him though.
he's a Army vet guy, and he works with Valor Fit is their company, and their thing is they raise money to help get veterans gym memberships and get them into gyms.
That's awesome.
So their whole he ran it was called the Texas 1000. They rerouted it. It was like 880 something miles
Oh,
across.
that's it.
Right. 'Cause last year, I think it was last year he ran it east to west, and this year he ran it north to south. And it was, I think, 17 or 18 days is what it took him. And
Dear Lord.
yeah, he was averaging 12, 13-hour days, about 50 miles a day for 17, 18 days straight. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, in the summer heat or in the Texas heat, just yeah, it was amazing. And so, but all the money that he raised from that again went to Valor Fit and was in. Yeah, their whole point is they get veterans that have like kind of just got out of service or they don't really have a whole lot going on, and they connect them with local gyms in their area, pay for their gym memberships, get them into some sort of physical fit activity.
It's funny you say that, is because one of my dreams and goals is to start a nonprofit
Yeah.
for veterans, and I have some ideas, but it would be to have someone on staff that is a licensed coach that can create whatever kind of training plan, whether they want to lift weights, do hit training, run,
Right.
whatever it is, have someone on staff that can create training plans. Because dude, people reach out to me all the time and they're like, how did you do this? Can you help me with a plan and stuff like
Yeah.
that? And I'm like, well, I'm not a professional, but then I do what I can. People come up to me after races sometimes and they're like, what did you do to do this? And I'm like, well, here's what I did. Here you go.
Yeah.
But I want to create a nonprofit that someone that knows their shit can create these plans, and then I want to provide them with the gear that they need.
Yeah.
That's a great point. A gym membership or something like that, or a pair of running shoes and
Yeah.
socks,
Yeah.
because those are expensive things,
Yeah.
and especially when people are just making it, scraping by and whatnot. And
Yeah.
the way that I look at it is, I think that this is not my quote, but healing through movement.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's what it's done for me.
Yeah.
Running has saved my life, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah. And it's you see a correlation with endurance athletes and like normally some sort of like mental health or
Oh
like
yeah.
substance abuse
Oh,
issue
I've
or
I've seen
it's
I've seen the
it's
studies.
it's the bread and butter, you got one, you have the
You
other
have
probably.
to,
Yeah,
yeah.
like
You have to.
anyone out here that's like signing up for 100-mile races, it's like,
Something
oh,
ain't
have you
right.
been through something? You're just like, okay. It's like,
Something ain't right with the boy.
yeah, it's like, oh, you're like signing up for this ultra, and you're like, yeah, I'm an alcoholic, and they're like, makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there it is. Um, yeah, and so I'm also a big advocate. I think there's nothing out there that can cure what you got going on in your head, like physically exerting yourself and like putting your body through a test. And um, I always said for me, it always helped because it was like whenever my mind couldn't go crazy and consume me if I was so tired that like I didn't have it in me. That was like at the beginning stages of it. I was like, okay, if I just physically exhaust myself so much, then like mentally I won't even be able to like put myself in these issues or these situations that I'm in.
Right. And
And it worked for a little bit. You have to find other ways, of course, still to mitigate things. But yeah, just some sort of physical exertion every day is you don't meet you don't meet that many like overly super like depressed people. I feel like that are like training every day and have some sort of course they still have their down days and their moments, of course, but overall I feel like you see a little bit more stable people whenever you're talking about people that work out or don't work out.
mhm.
And yeah, I think I always go back to like our ancestors and stuff.
We're meant to do this. That's what I was
Yeah,
gonna say. We're designed.
yeah,
The first hunters, the first humans, we literally ran to get our food. Like
mhm.
we would run down animals until they couldn't run anymore,
Yeah,
and they just were exhausted. And that's what you know, we're meant to physically exhaust ourselves like that.
yeah.
In my opinion.
Well, I mean, it's in our DNA, you had like you said, to survive. If you weren't physically fit, like you didn't survive because either
You
you
either had to
couldn't,
get away from predators or
yep,
you had to get your food somehow.
you were hunting or being hunted, one of the two. And if you weren't in shape, like that was it.
Survival of the fittest.
Yeah, and I think that's survival of the fittest that should be looked at as more of like a slogan for just how the human should live. Like it's just the fitter you are, like
Possibly the more
the
better off that you are.
yeah, like there's no one that gets super fit and like their life just declines. Like I've never seen that where someone like gets in the gym and they start eating a little bit healthier and start adding in a couple runs or
You
lifts
don't get
and
more depressed. That's for
right.
sure.
I never have people that I've like talked to about getting in the gym and I've never had anyone come up to me afterwards and like regretted it
Right.
and been like, oh yeah, I wish I would have never started this. Like, I've yet to hear it from
No,
anyone.
I've never heard that before.
So it's
No.
like again, not a coincidence. This is how it always was. This is how we're supposed to be. And there's a reason like Yeah, and I encourage anyone that's never like ran through the woods to just go do it.
Or just go
Don't
do a
even,
hike, you
yeah, yeah,
know?
like you don't even have to run. Just go like get out on some trails
How
and
many
like just
people don't even go out in the woods, period, a- and find that tranquility and that peacefulness that you find when you're there,
the
you know?
quietness. You don't realize
Or
how loud
not.
everything
Yeah,
is.
or not the quietness because the forest is alive, man. Like
Yeah. So yeah, especially when you start getting deep in there and you start seeing the bush
birds.
gnomes and stuff.
Yeah.
The bush gnomes are
The
legit.
shadow people.
Yeah, you start like thinking you're seeing stuff. And funny story, I had that first race at Shawnee. I was like at mile 28, and I came across this stump, and I sat there, and the way the light was hitting it, the sun was shining like down the length of it, and so this stump that had this light it looked like it was a white tail, and I thought this stump was a skunk from like
A
20 yards
distance.
away. Yeah. And I stopped dead in my tracks and stared at it for probably, real time, probably 4 or 5 minutes, just looking at it. It was like, I was like, I don't have the mental capacity to deal with this right now, dude. Like, and so I sat there and waited for it to move, and it never moved. And I just was like, wait a second. And I kept walking up. I got closer and closer, and I realized it was a stump. And I looked around and was like, I hope, and there was no one out there. I hadn't saw anyone for like 5 miles. And I was just looking around. And I was like, dude, I bet I look insane right now. You're like, just,
Meanwhile, the cameraman's up on the cliff, like taking pictures
yeah.
of you
Yeah.
for
That
five
was,
minutes.
that was like the only incident where I had where my vision was kind of like, was messing with me. But I did. I thought that stump was a skunk for a lot longer than I should have. I just sat there and just stared at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm about to wrap this up. If anything else you want to talk about while we're here.
Um, Not really anything that I can think of.
Yeah,
Um, if anyone is out there listening, if you don't mind me saying that, there's always help out there if you need it. So don't hesitate to reach out. A lot of, Americans, not just veterans, are, fighting silent battles every day. And, I got the help that I needed, and I just hope that you guys do as well. Um, if you want, feel free to follow me on my running journey on Facebook. My name is Logan Jarboe, Jarboe. It's a weird one. And Chase, I really am happy that you had me on here today.
of course,
Really appreciate the time that we got to spend together. And
for sure.
uh, yeah,
Yeah, no doubt, man. Of course, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me for a little bit.
heck yeah, man.
Um, yeah, make sure you guys also are checking out Hydrate 1-2 IV Therapy. It's my wife's IV business. You can find that on Facebook and Instagram. Get those IVs scheduled. Be a great little gift. We got the holidays coming up. Maybe get the spouse a little Christmas IV or something. Yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Love you.